This week on Who Deserves to Be Inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame podcast, we look at the case for putting Slayer into the Hall. This week, we take a look at putting the Huntington Park, California thrash band Slayer into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Although the group was formed back in 1981, their first album was in 1983, and that makes 2009 their first year of eligibility. Their original lineup was guitarist Jeff Hanneman and Kerry King, along with bassist Tom Mariah and drummer Dave Lombardo. Paul Bostaph took over the drumming duties in 1992 with John Dett as their drummer from 1996 to 1997. Gary Holt became their other guitarist back in 2013 after the unfortunate death of Jeff Hanneman. Their touring members over the years have included Bob Gourley, Gene Hoglan, and Tony Scaglione on the drums, along with Pat O'Brien and Phil Demmel on guitar. The group was together from 1981 to 2019 when they played their famous final concert on November the 30th, 2019. Of course, like most bands who break up, they got back together, and in Slayer's case, it was in 2024 when they announced that they would be doing reunion concerts. Although, really, if you do a lot of reunion concerts, couldn't you just say that you're just back together and you're doing concerts? In any event, with all that said, let us take a look at their commercial and critical success and then who they influenced. We'll look at the reasons why they should and should not be inducted and answer whether anybody would be excited about seeing or listening to them still. I'll answer that one right now, actually. Yes, they would. First off, though, let us do our usual stats, and to the tail of the tape we go. Including their 1983 debut album, Slayer has released 12 studio albums, 4 live albums, and 2 EPs. Of those, 8 of their studio albums and 1 EP went to the top 40 in America, with their 2006 EP Eternal Pyre going to number 3, and 3 studio albums going top 10. 1994's Divine Intervention went to number 8, 2006's Christ Delusion went to number 5, and 2015's Repentless went to number 4. In the United Kingdom, 8 of their studio albums and their 1999 live album, Decade of Aggression, went top 40, although none of them went to the top 10. The closest that they ever got was Repentless, which got to number 11. 4 of their albums went gold in America, and 2 of their albums went silver in the UK. Their 1986 album Rain in Blood was produced by Rick Rubin and is considered to be a landmark album in metal with its short yet powerful songs. Here's a fun fact for you. Rick Rubin produced Rain in Blood and Run DMC's landmark album Raising Hell at the same time, and Kerry King contributed some guitar parts to Raising Hell as well, although a lot of them were uncredited. As far as their singles went, Slayer released 16 of those. Of those 16, 3 hit the top 40 in America. 2010's World Painted Blood hit number 14, while 2009's Hate Worldwide and 2015's Repentless both hit number 2. In the UK, none of their songs hit the top 40. Songs that have become cult classics for the group include Raining Blood, Angel of Death, South of Heaven, and Season in the Abyss. Slayer have been nominated for 5 Best Metal Performance Grammys, winning 2 of them, in 2007 for Eyes of the Insane and in 2008 for Final Six. Dave Lombardo also made Rolling Stone magazine's Greatest Drummers of All Time list. There are plenty of artists who consider Slayer to be a huge influence on their work. There's Body Count, Pantera, Sepultura, Napalm Death, Obituary, Slipknot, Behemoth, Cannibal Corpse, Dark Throne, Death, Emperor, Creator, Lamb of God, The Devil Wears Prada, Mayhem, Machine Head, Morbid Angel, Shai Hulud, Tech Nine, and Testament, among many, many others. Slayer are considered to be one of the big four in thrash metal, along with Metallica, Megadeth, and Anthrax. Metallica is in the hall, the rest are not. They built up an extremely large, devoted fan base, much like the other three thrash metal groups. Plus, they put on an incredible live show, one of the best actually. They also stretched the boundaries of metal music by talking about difficult subjects and a lot of different topics in their lyrics, such as racism, fascism, and religion, which made them extremely influential in the genre. However, even stating all of that, there are some people who do not want Slayer to be inducted. Some of them don't want them in because of the way that Slayer spoke about those difficult topics in their lyrics. Those topics were considered controversial and led to album bans and such by conservative groups and politicians back in the day. Perhaps the biggest reason why they are not already in is because the Hall hates metal music of all types. I'm just going to say it like that. Although perhaps hate is too harsh a word, but they definitely do not respect metal music. I wish I could figure out why, because how else do you explain why Slayer, Iron Maiden, etc. are not in yet? Seriously. I mean, you could try the excuse that metal music and Slayer are more of a niche group and don't have broad appeal. However, you would really be wrong on that. Plus, there's a lot of artists in the Hall who are only there because of their influence and nothing more. Not their commercial success, because they didn't have it. MC5 as an example. I always bring that one up because honestly, name a song other than Kick Out the Jams that MC5 did. I'll wait. Yeah, exactly my point. All right? MC5 is in. Other artists who only have influence should be in. Just saying. To further answer the question as to whether anyone would go to see them live or listen to new music from them, I already said yes. Slayer is not a concert that you should miss if you're lucky enough to have them in your town. Now, I would definitely take full advantage of their reunion, or whatever they're calling it these days. Their lyrics were always thought-provoking, so I'm actually rather curious to see what they would come up with next should they actually put out another album. I hope they do, though. But, what do you think? Should Slayer be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? The answer is yes, by the way. Or are they too much of a niche group for some to be even considered for induction? Let me know in the comments. Play nice. Yes, we know the Hall sucks. Yes, we know the Hall doesn't deserve Slayer. They definitely don't deserve Slayer. However, tell me what you think. And that is it for who deserves to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We also invite you to check out our other podcast, the Music History Today podcast, where we go over what happened on that date in music history. That podcast drops daily, including weekends, on this channel that you're either watching or listening to this podcast on. We also have the Music History In-Depth podcast, where we go more in-depth into the events that happened for that week in music history. And that podcast posts every Tuesday on this channel that you're either watching or listening to this podcast on. Thank you very, very much for listening or watching if you're on YouTube or Spotify.